Hi, my name is Gabe Newell. I work at Valve, and we're showing the Orange Box here at Leipzig, Germany. The Orange Box is going to be shipping out from us October 9th. It should be at retailers October 10th in the US and October 12th in Europe. It'll be available on Steam, should be 12/01 October 10th. So the Orange Box grew out of the experiments we've been doing with episodic content, the desire to try to build smaller pieces of easier to manage projects where we could take some of the risk out of the financial side and the project scale side and put some of the risk back into game design, which allows us to try more experimental things like the art direction in Team Fortress 2 or the whole game mechanic in Portal. So some of the challenges of having, in the case of Orange Box, 5 different games going into a single box, it actually ends up being easier because having smaller teams that are really focused rather than having to spread their attention across, years and years of development, it's just a lot easier. It's easier on the team, they have more fun, they can feel like they're getting things out to customers sooner. So it's actually an easier project for us than, say, the 5 years that we went through on Half-Life 2. So when we were designing Team Fortress 2, we wanted the art design and the look of it to really be driven from the gameplay. And so since it's a class-based game, the ability to recognize your opponent quickly is one of the key requirements that the art design, that the look has to serve. So if you stick with a photorealistic look, it's your hands are tied. Everybody looks like a normally dimensioned human. But if you move away from that into a more stylized approach, you can have this sort of silhouette for the heavy weapons guy and this sort of silhouette for the pyro. And that makes the readability of your opponents much greater. It was also consistent with the game mechanic where you have people flying through the air and exploding into pieces and people building sentries and using ray guns to heal each other. So it was consistent with the game design to move away from sort of the hyper-realistic approach that Counter-Strike has. My favorite maps are well, basically, because I keep getting run over by the train. I've been killed by that train, by the trains more than any other opponent in that game. You'd think I would have learned by now. My favorite class right now is the medic. It used to be the spy, but I've switched over to the medic. I like the fact that as a medic I can actually, have high score in the round, which is something that never happened with Team Fortress Classic. The important thing with Team Fortress 2 is to play as part of a team. It really, the more you cooperate with the other players and develop strategy, or tactics really more than strategy, the more that you're tactically thinking about cooperating with other classes, the better you're going to play. And especially initially, learning how to play with the other classes, I think is really going to differentiate the good players from the mediocre players. When we started working on Portal, we thought that there was something very important about changing your relationship with space and with physics, right? So it used to be that height was a barrier, and now instead it's potential energy. And the puzzles really are about teaching you how to internalize that. Because we started off with Portal and we immediately sort of threw it into a full-blown Half-Life 2 style game, and people were completely lost. So the puzzles really are about getting your head wrapped around this fairly significant change in how you perceive the world. And so we're stepping you through until sort of these, I think there are 18 different challenges that you go through until we put you into the sort of the real world again and let you run around in that. So it's walking you through to that point where we say, okay, now we can know that people have this internalized sense of how to use this. It's much more natural for people to understand physics because that's the world we live in. So when we did the gravity gun and the super gravity gun, people understood how to do that. But with portals, that's something that doesn't exist in the real world, and it's pretty disruptive to your relationship with the world. And so that's where we needed to get players. So for Steam, we haven't announced what the various package options are. We will announce them as we get closer. Certainly, when we started out working on Orange Box, there was actually a black box as well. But retailers, there's limited shelf space, and so retailers pushed back and said, we just want one product. And we said, if there's only going to be one product, it's going to have everything in it so we can make sure that people have that option. On Steam, we don't have, there's infinite shelf space, so we can create a lot more options, like we've traditionally done, like here are all the multiplayer games as a package, or here each one individually. So I think we're going to have a lot of flexibility for people when the Steam versions are announced. After Orange Box, we have to get episode 3 out. We know how the trilogy ends, and there are a bunch of loose ends and narrative arcs that need to come to a conclusion in episode 3. So that's going to be a big focus for us. Oh, Left 4 Dead, actually. Oh, I can't believe I forgot Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead is a huge amount of fun. It's this game, this co-op game experience that gamers have been asking for, including myself, forever. And it's great to see that Michael Booth and his team have been able to pull that off. It's just great to run around a corner and just see these armies of zombies come running at you, and to, in a very tight way, be part of this cooperative experience. So it's the #1 game being played at Valve right now. People play 24/7 if they didn't have to get their own games out the door. So Orange Box will be releasing for PC and 360 on October 10th. 12/01 that day, it'll be released on Steam with a PS3 version to follow shortly. I think it's the most exciting set of products we've put together since we've been a company, and I hope people enjoy it.